Good evening, WTF Nation Radio. It is I, the actual King Smith, coming at you with the Sports Bar here at WTF Nation Radio and U.S Army WTF Moments. The Sports Bar is a live stream produced every Sunday night at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time Zone, where myself, Coach, and anybody that has the guts to pop up on the screen can come up and talk all things sports related here at WTF Nation Radio. Coach and I are both U.S. military veterans. We are both proud to have served our nation, and we are also proud to be here live talking all things sports and life. Coach, that's who I am. Why don't you let the people know something?
What do you hear? What do you say? Man, this is the best time of the year. We got baseball is already in full, started their season. You're in full swing on all the auto racing, the daggone NBA playoffs, the NFL play or the NFL draft, the NHL playoffs, even the WNBA draft. I mean, for crying out loud, man, every day there is something going on between the next 2 months until the end of the playoffs, man. It's a great damn time, and I can't have a shittier day. How about you, King?
You know what? Life's been going good, man. I think 2 weeks now since I had the beer virus. Everything is back to normal over here, man. And I'm just happy to be here, happy to be talking all things sports and life here with the viewers and listeners. So we're going to get right into it.
Man.
We are going to share a couple of videos today that I thought are hilarious. And shout out to the people that send me clips and things that are sports related. I love it. I open up and watch them all, and I try and figure out how we can sequence them in on the show. So if you are a viewer or part of our station team, keep sending me those videos. They are hilarious, and some of them are going to be played today. We're also going to talk about an NBA player that got caught betting, which, hey, we talked about it here at the sports bar. This sports betting is going to be wild. There are going to be a couple of bad actors and bad characters that are going to take advantage of some things. And I think in our lifetime, we're going to probably come across one of the more biggest sports gambling scandals known by a known player, because this person's name I never even heard of. But I'm pretty sure in our lifetime it's going to happen. And we're going to finish up
I
with,
thought it would happen with Shohei.
ooh, hey, that Shohei news. I still think that something occurred directly between Shohei, but he was smart about it in adding that layer. I don't think that Shohei was absolutely innocent in this whole thing, but I think that what he did was smart. And we're gonna end today's show talking about. Hey, look, Caitlin Clark has been getting a lot of buzz for somebody that is supposedly the all-time NCAA women's scorer and never won a championship. She seems to be getting all the accolades, and I'm curious as to why. So we are going to talk about that. I dropped the link to our station chat if any of the other WTF Nation radio hosts want to come up. So, Coach, by 8:30, we have to be on Caitlin Clark. So,
That's
because I
perfectly
told them
fine.
that's what time
That's
that
not a
we be
problem at
talking
all,
about.
man.
All right. Now, Coach, I know you were having some technical difficulties, but are you
Yeah,
able to
brother, I
give
am.
us the rundown of our shows that are offered here before we get into the show?
I think I can, and right after that, I'm going to drop off and drop back in because I can already hear the delay right now because that's how bad my internet is. But, ladies and gentlemen, just because my internet's bad doesn't mean that we do not come to you live 6 nights a week on U.S Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio across Facebook, X, used to be known as Twitter. And for all of y'all that are watching out there, hey, everybody, and everybody who's watching out on YouTube and Kick as well across U.S Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio on those platforms. And we come to you 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Yeah, look at those two schmoes right there. Yeah. Hi, CQ. Great seeing how you're doing, buddy. All right, but anyway, we start the week off every Sunday on the Sports Bar at 8 p.m., where we bring to you the latest and greatest within the world of sports and take your comments and your takes. On Monday, we speak on U.S Army W.T.F moments with Ice and Massey. They will be bringing to you live on the Monday edition, where they're going to be talking to you about the world of the military and everything that's happening around it. On Tuesday, our boy who's in the chats right now, Pop Culture Warrior, will be live with Mad Mike for Pop Culture Warrior. Great show on Tuesday nights. Definitely need to go out and see him. And then we move to Wednesday with our friends Radar and TeeZee. They bring it to you live on the Smoke Pit, a 2-hour bullshit session. Great guests that come on there and just talking about absolutely everything you want. In fact, we invited Radar over here tonight. And Radar, if your ass is up there in South Dakota and listening to us, well, hey, man, 8:30, get on. Let's get going. And on Thursdays, Sergeant's Time with the one, the only Ice. He will be bringing it down to you, taking care of the problems at the lowest level within the veteran and within the active duty community. And now I got paid last week, which means this upcoming Friday, Cause and Miss Edith Schmidt, or Mom, will be coming into you live for Friday Night Freedom this week. Definitely check us out on U.S Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio across our Facebook pages, our Twitter handles, which is at U.S Army WTFM or U.S Army, whatever the hell it is. I don't care. I'm not really on Twitter, but I love you all that are watching us. And definitely watch us on YouTube. Look for U.S Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio on YouTube and on Kick as well. By the way, I did find out something interesting about Twitch and Kick. So Twitch is now owned by Amazon, but doesn't have a sports betting platform. The sports betting platform stake is the actual owners of Kick.
Mhm.
So, on top of doing that, we are also supporting a company that has sports betting by being on Kick instead of on Twitch. Fuck you, Amazon. Just like OJ.
Just like OJ. All right, a couple of things. There is also a Saturday show. It's not a permanent thing just yet, but personally, I hope that it is. Our boy Nemo, who does a lot of the things in the background here for WTF Nation Radio, has now done, I want to say 2 weeks in a row, this show called Weekend Co-op, OPS, but the OPS is all capital, where he's gaming with people, talking about not just gaming, but stuff in general. And there was something really cool that happened during yesterday's live stream, in which a veteran who was watching was somebody who had 23 years of service, and he was about to get out, and he shared and talked about how he's not sure what that next step is. Now, when you served 23 years in the military, or really 23 years anywhere, that's a long time for one company and one, organization, so to speak. Because if you're 23 years active duty, you've likely moved around at least, if you're talking every 4 years, 20 something, I can't do quick math. What's that? 6.5 times in 24 years, and 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. I promise y'all, I've done math. And this veteran was, asking for some advice about what to do on the next steps. And something that I'm going to chime in on is that that's a very common question, especially if you enlisted at the young age of 18 or 19, like I did, and you do 20 something odd years. That's what you've known for a good portion of the second quarter of your life, right? So, offering something like the weekend co-ops, I think, is fantastic. I'm doing a plug to try to see if we can make that a permanent thing. So for those of y'all that like gaming, I know that there's another video gaming brand that's a part of WTF Nation Radio, but let the station know that y'all want to see the weekend co-ops Saturdays here at WTF Nation Radio. I believe Coach is back up. Let me see if he's there. Coach,
I'm
how we
back.
doing?
I'm back, brother. I'm
All
back.
right.
Can you hear me?
Yep, yep. I can hear you loud and clear. Got you
All
five
right.
five five. Um,
Perfect. I
so
might have a little bit of delay, and that's what's happening right now, man.
okay, I will try to account for that.
I got you,
Now,
buddy.
the second thing, Coach talked about OJ Simpson. If you didn't watch the Sports Bar's last live stream last Sunday, April the 14th, you missed a good one. I meant to take that episode and clip it down and put it on the Sports Bar's Facebook page, but I haven't done that yet. But all we talked about was OJ. And Coach had some OJ linkages that were hilarious. And the final thing is I'm looking in the comment section, and Susan Brandstatter over on Facebook gave a comment and said that sports gambling started as a boxing problem. I agree with that. I started doing some history and digging on sports betting in general. And I'm talking about going like way back into like the Roman days, right? Where you had gladiators and stuff fighting, and just to now where you've tried regulating sports betting. Because look, if you didn't try to regulate it, it was just going to be a black market thing. And I think that that's what the US is trying to do. But whew, oh, I think in the future, especially with technology getting better, it can be easier to skirt some things and make it to where you show no culpability in what's going on. And then Susan also said, I briefly dated a lightweight boxer once, and he had to move away, and that was all you did for athletes. He said, no more athletes. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. I think y'all can hear my buzzer. If y'all didn't hear my buzzer, let me know so I can fix that. We also got my lady, God Happened to Me, in the building, said hello over on Facebook. Thank you for joining in. And Pop Culture Warrior, he had a phenomenal actor last weekend. Um, it was I almost said the wrong name, which man, why am I Blake? This is the bad part about doing a live show. What was the damn name of the person who he had on last week? And I'm a fan of this dude. Do, 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 do. Orlando Jones. Golly, thank you. He had Orlando Jones on last week. Hilarious interview. Go over to check that out as well. So while Coach get his stuff together, I'm going to play the first video that I think is hilarious. All right. Thank you, Orlando Jones. Good. Hey, that's the bad part about doing a live stream. You got to be on your P's and Q's and not blanking on these names. So this video was sent to me by somebody, and I thought it was hilarious. This is an athlete, right, who just won an event, and take a look at what he was given for his trophy. Let's make that a little bit bigger. That's what she said. Hold up. Come on, producer. All right. You just won an event where you got a gold medal for your event and first place, and you have no arms, yet you're given a watch. I know y'all couldn't hear that, but I just thought that that shit was hilarious. All right. It was absolutely hilarious to me. And I when I say tears came out of my eyes, tears flowed down my eyes from laughing. Let's play this one more time. Hey, am I going to hell for finding that hilarious? All right. Um. All right. Well, we doing a solo show today because the internet went down at Coach's um playroom, Coach's office. I was trying to figure out how to call Coach's place. So we doing a solo show today. So y'all tune in. All right. Strap up. Hey, Birdie Powell over on YouTube said that that was one of the best interviews ever to CQ. Hey, Birdie, that's fantastic. CQ, if you're still watching, you just got compliments because I ain't complimenting you. And Birdie, I agree. I Orlando Jones set the tone and started that interview hilarious. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but it was fantastic. So, Nike is laying off more than 740 employees in their next round of layoffs that had recently occurred in February. All right. So, at its Washington County campus location, Nike is doing their second phase of layoffs, in which the total of laid off employees from that location is going to be 740 employees that were laid off. Back in February, when Nike announced the layoffs, they called it trying to reduce their workforce down to the right size, by laying off 2% of their workforce. So 740, when you say a number like that, saying that, man, in the span of 5 months or so, 740 employees got laid off at one location. But when you account for that as being 2% of the workforce, you go, that's really a small number, right? And when I look around the country and I see the price of food the way that it is, companies like Google that are making record profits still like laying off people. I don't know what Nike's profits are looking like because I haven't looked at their financial statements or anything recently to have an intelligent conversation about it. Yet, when you open your eyes, I'm starting to see like trouble ahead. So, to everybody out there that's watching or listening to the sports bar, King is telling you, get prepared. All right. Be prepared. You don't want anything to occur that's going to blindside you and you're not ready for what might be winter. Winter is coming. All right. Winter is coming. Let's see. Hey, my bad. I called you Birdie. Britty. I am so sorry. All right. We gonna do this live. My bad. Yeah. Charge it to my head, not my heart. Brittany, if you want to come on and talk some sports with us, let me know. I'll drop the link. Anybody's welcome to come on and talk sports as well, actually, just so you know. All right. Next thing here around the news, LGPA Nelly Corda ties the LPGA mark with the fifth win in a row. She has etched her name in tour record by winning her record tying fifth straight tournament with the two-stroke victory in the Chevron Championship for her second major title. Quarter joins Nancy Lopez, who accomplished it in 1978, and Annika Sorenstam, who did it in 2004 and 2005, as the only players to win five consecutive LPGA events. Her previous major victory was in 2021 at the Women's PGA Championship. Y'all, I'm over here struggling with letters. And later on in the show, I'm going to play a video of Caitlin Clark when she was on Saturday Night Live. And I was about to crack jokes about how athletes should not be doing things outside of their athletic things if they're not media trained. And here I am stumbling over everything. All right. This is, you know what? I guess when you talk about bad about Caitlin Clark, it comes back and bite you. Okay. So Brittany said, I liked it better when I had YouTube all to myself. Hey, so that actually brings up something that's interesting because I'll jump on when some of the other stations are live. And while other people are watching on Facebook, I'll go over to YouTube and show YouTube some love. YouTube also is one of the platforms that I can send a super chat on. So as a joke, sometimes I'll send a super chat in just to see if any of the station managers will read it or even notice that it was a super chat. All right. So we trying to get YouTube blowed up over there because there is the ability to super chat. But I just thought that that was hilarious. CQ said, it ain't just you over there now, Brittany. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Before I get into my next story, I have another video that was sent in to me by a viewer, and I'm trying to figure out, how does one bend their back this way? Let's put this up on the screen. Let's make it bigger. That's what she said. Watch how this dude bends his back. In my body hurts. Watch this. Wait. Pause. How? How? How and why? Like, does bending your back like that give you extra throwing propulsion to just launch that bitch? But this is a javelin thrower breaking his back to me and then launching a medicine ball throw. Look, if that's what helps him win an Olympic gold, so be it. Because ain't no way I'd be able to do this. Mm-mm. I was at a flag football event earlier today supporting some of my friends, and the ball got thrown out of bounds, and it was near me, right? Now, I played football back in my day, but I was never a quarterback. All right. I went to go pick up the ball and throw it back in field about 40 yards, which isn't a big athletic feat, but it ain't small either. I went to go throw it, and while I launched it and I did throw it accurately, the 40 yards down the field, everything in my abs hurt after that. I tried to make it seem like it didn't bother me. No, it bothered me. And this came on the same day that I'm trying to get out and be a little bit more active. All right. I did an intentional 3 miles a day with my lady, which we're also going to do tomorrow. We're just going to take this one day at a time, try to get my ass back in shape, y'all. But let me tell you, bending my back like this, mm-mm, mm-mm, it ain't happening. All right. Brittany said yoga pays off. Hey, Brittany, could you do it? Could you bend your back like that and then come back for it? All right. Cause that right there was that's hard for me to see. All right. Who could do this? If y'all could do this in the chat, let me know. All right. Let's see. Coach over at the sports bar said, I've put this on the screen. If I ever bit that way, my ding dong would detach. Susan over on Facebook said, I think he was double jointed in the shoulder. Yeah, like, I wish I could zoom in. That's insane. Just the way, even just that part, and how his shoulders is, and the way his hands are still back like this. Nope. Nope. Even doing this just now, I'm like, mm-mm. Brittany said, back in the day, I don't be knowing lyrics to songs. God happened to me said, I have faith in you, baby. Thank you. I appreciate the support. All right. Where are we at? We are at 8:28. Almost where I said that if the station wanted to come up and talk about Caitlin Clark, they have the link. So 2 minutes for this next story. All right, here we go. Let's put this up on the screen. Share screen, share tab. Boom. The NBA has banned this guy right here, number 34 of the Toronto Raptors, for life for betting on sports games. Toronto Raptors forward Jonte Porter this past Wednesday has learned that from sports gambling, he will not be eligible for reinstatement. Sometime last month, the NBA launched an investigation into suspicious activities around his performance, which is awesome that they do that, right? There's like an independent uh, accountability group, right? That takes a look at how coaches are managing players, as well as how players are playing when they're actually in the game. Okay. And this 24-year-old forward who was a little known, little used player, right, who would bounce between the Raptors and their G League affiliate whenever he was in the game, had always attracted heavy betting interest, right? So on a March 20 game, one bettor placed the 80,000 wager that Porter would fall short of certain stats. So in sports betting, you have what's called betting the over and betting the under. And it is quite literally how it sounds, right? If a sports book places that a player is going to have 8 rebounds, right? So if you bet the over, you're saying that they're going to have over 8. If you bet the under, you're saying that they're going to have 7 or less. Okay. And for a player that's little used like that, if you have insider knowledge that this player may be getting more minutes and he normally does it, injuries are one thing. Like there's certain players that if you're like the 6th, 7th, or 8th person on the NBA roster, right outside of the starting five, if you have somebody in the starting five gets hurt, there's a natural bump and increase in minutes. But for somebody like this guy, Jonte Porter, who's little known, um, to place that large of a wager in certain games is going to raise some eyebrows. All right. So on this particular game, uh, he would then check out of the game early, claiming that he was ill. And by doing that, that suggested cooperation between Porter and the bettors, essentially guaranteeing he was going to hit the under, right? I think you could get away with doing that if it's a smaller amount or if you're a more known player. But if you're a bigger player, you just can't do this. So I want to congratulate the NBA on taking action on something like this, right? Because we cannot allow sports betting to influence the outcome of game. Like that is essentially that'll change the way that the fans look at betting. I saw this other stat that talked about how the amount of money that he made from sports betting that they found out about was significantly less than what his NBA salary is. So we should give this guy the biggest dumbass award for losing his job essentially by betting on himself and doing some sports betting. All right. So we are now going to move to what's essentially the main topic for today. I already see some people in the background, and he looks ready to come on and talk about this. All right. It's been a while since I've spoken to this handsome, strapping young lad myself, but I'm glad that he's decided to come on and talk about this. I am bringing up no other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Radar. Man, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey,
What's
man,
going
you
on?
look good and you sound good too.
Well, thanks, man. Hey, your production makes it that way, man. You guys make it good.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. So, we had the WNBA draft just recently, and I think it's insane that for women's basketball, you have the tournament, the WNBA draft, and then the season like right there back to back. But everybody's been talking about Caitlin Clark and her accomplishments and how she's this great NCAA college basketball player. Some people have said the greatest of all time. I think that that's debatable. Like everything's
That's a
debatable.
stretch. That's a little
Like,
stretch.
yeah.
Like, they remember Jordan played basketball too, right? Like he played college. It's fine. But I will
And
say, you know what? I will say though, like in recent memory,
mhm.
I think she's done great things to open the door for women's sports in general.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
That
and
that can't be debated.
right, but there's more to it than that. And I mean, because previously, all we've really talked about in women's sports is how like men have been like trying to get in them. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like for the last couple of years, that's been women's sports or the talk around women's sports. So it's nice to have an actual conversation about that. Like, hey, these girls can do some amazing, these women can do some amazing things. But Could we say she's maybe the best female college basketball player of all time? Like,
Even that's debatable,
that's
man.
a
Because
stretch too, man. There's been
yeah, like
some
she's
good
put
players.
up a lot of points. Don't get me wrong, but you could call her the Charles Barkley of women's NCAA in that great player. Absolutely,
Mhm.
no championships to account for it though. So what can we say to that?
I mean, in all fairness, and she didn't have a horrible team behind her,
Nope.
but there's a lot of talent. I mean, if you were to put her on LSU, put her with that group, like you might have had a really stellar team. Like not saying she had horrible players behind her, but that's just kind of one person does not make the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the essence of players like that, or go back to Barkley or whatever. You have a lot of players who are really good. I'll even talk about Messi. Messi is arguably one of the best soccer players of all time. And then you put him in Inter Miami, you think they'd be killing it, and they're not, because you
Nope.
can't just take one person and put them on whatever field and have that. She's a game changer. She brought Iowa as far as they went, but come on, the greatest of all time. That's pushing it. That's really pushing it.
Now,
So.
have you seen this graphic that I'm now showing on the screen? There was a graphic talking about Caitlin Clark when she
Mhm.
got drafted by the Indiana Fever at #1, and how her rookie contract over 4 years is going to total $338,056.
Right.
Apparently, seeing this graphic after the WNBA salary has been talked about over like the last couple of years, Caitlin Clark, the one that had people talking in like a fever pitch. Why do you think that is? Why is it her?
Because they can't math. I think people are upset because they can't math.
Talk
And
about it.
well, if you were to take and you know, and I don't recall all the numbers exactly, but you take the NBA and then the WNBA and the amount of revenue they each make, like she's getting a rather large percentage of what the Indiana Fever bring in as a franchise. When you start thinking about in terms of that, then that to me is the quintessential part of that. Now, you and I both know that's not her only income.
Correct. Yeah,
You know what I
she's
mean? She's got deals from Nike, she's got deals from all these joints and, jersey sales and everything like that. So to turn around and say, oh, she's only making 75 G's a year, first off, not bad money. I mean, let's be honest. That's not horrible money. But secondly, she's making what's her Nike contract, like 11 mil or something like that?
yeah. Now she's in a better position than most. I also learned that there's not that many WNBA players that have Nike deals.
No.
Right? She's one of like 3 or
I
4.
believe it's 3 right now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now there is a stark difference. There's a graphic here. Let me see if I can find this graphic. All right. And I thought that this was hilarious. But you brought up a good point about um revenue. So the
Mhm.
NBA, when I did my research on this, their revenue is 10 billion.
Mhm.
10 with the B.
Yep.
Think about that. The WNBA, I forgot what the exact number was, but it was substantially smaller.
Yep.
Now, this was the 4-year contracts of the previous top 10 first round picks between the NBA and the WNBA. All right, so starting with San Antonio when they drafted Victor Wembanyama, his contract was to be around 55.2 million at #1. At number 10 is Derek Lively the second with 22.3 million.
Mhm.
All right. This was the most recent WNBA draft right here, starting with Caitlin Clark, Victor coming in at number 3 with Camila Cardoso, and them drafting Angel Reese at I think 6 or 7. And then you end it down here with, I'm not even going to try to say her name, Naidu Pioch. I've been jacking up LGPGA, and there's no way that I can say this name. But when you take all of their salaries,
Mhm.
it doesn't equal to what the number 10 guy alone
Right.
makes here. But again, people aren't factoring in the different revenue and deals that the WNBA makes versus the NBA. Now,
Right.
I heard Kelsey Plume say that, well, it's not that we're asking for the same amount of money that they're making. We're asking for the same amount of revenue share
Okay.
that they have. So the NBA's revenue share is around 50% to the players. The WNBA is around 10%.
Okay.
And they're saying that if that revenue share was higher, you could see WNBA players making around 2.5 to 3 million if their revenue share percentage was a bit higher.
Right. Now, I'll throw a monkey wrench in that though, because you're gonna have some overhead with stuff too that just has to come out, right? So you're gonna have facility costs and maintenance. You're gonna have, back of the house people are gonna have your pay and finance and coaches and trainers and all that. That's gonna be an overhead cost that's gonna be fixed. A trainer for the WNBA probably isn't making a whole lot less than the NBA, maybe a certain percentage, but definitely not the disparity of the players. Right. So you're going to have that. I'm not even going to try to throw numbers out there, and I'm not trying to make excuses for it. And I do think that their revenue share should be increased 100%. Now, do I think Caitlin Clark should get every penny of that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't think that she is leaps and bounds better than some of those other teammates, and I think she's going to see that. You see that all the time, and especially in between NCAA basketball and the NBA. The different play style and the different, she's playing against the best group of those 4 years. She's not going against the top of the top yet. And I'm not saying she can't compete there. That's not what I'm saying. But you see that every year. You get all these rookies who are super hyped. They're going to be awesome. They're game changers. They're going to come in and they're going to change. They're changing this. They're going to turn this franchise around. And they don't, because it's a different game. And I think she can compete. I think she's going to do well. And I think that all this attention on them is going to, rising tide brings up all boats, kind of, you know what I mean? She doesn't have to make 100 million a year to bring everyone else up in that 70,000 a year range. I think that 70 grand a year is great money. I mean, it's not horrible, but like you said, when they're only getting 10% of their profit share, I would just be curious without seeing like the gross numbers of what it takes to run a franchise, how much transportation costs and how much, all that stuff is expensive. And to fly those, to have a private plane to fly the girls everywhere, put them on flights to go all over the country and the world sometimes. So, I don't know. There's ways around it. I mean, I feel like if they were being that grossly mistreated, they wouldn't do it. Like, fuck it. I'm out. Find someone else,
Yeah.
but
Now, I would say too, though, offer me $80,000 to play 40 games, and I'm giving per diem to travel to different teams and play basketball.
right.
I'm taking that.
Right. And the WNBA is 80 games a season
It's 40.
or 40. And how many's in the NBA? Way more than 40.
80 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's something right there
NBA
that they could,
schedule.
I'll look up WNBA if you look up NBA.
Oh, I know for a fact that the WNBA is 40 games and then the playoffs.
Okay.
Season. So the NBA regular season games is 82 games per team.
Yeah. So twice the games.
Mm-hmm.
Over twice. And that's not making the playoffs. That's just the regular season.
That's just regular season.
Yep. So I mean, kind of like being a teacher. I mean, you have to be shitty. Like everyone's like, oh, and I will again. I think teachers should pay more money, but they do have 3 months off to go get a second job, kind of if they need to, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, God, I feel like I'm on the losing side of this because I feel like I'm gonna come out being an asshole no matter what I say or do. But I really feel like, if we, it gets back to the fans, okay, and look at that Final Four game. That was the most watched game, short of the Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Keep that up. Keep that level of intensity up. Keep showing up to those games. Buy season tickets to your local WNBA franchise if you have one. Shit like that. Do some shit like that. If the fans want to get these women more money, bring in that money.
I've been saying that. As I'm not sure if this is true or not, but the Washington Mystics play in a smaller arena typically. And
Mhm.
apparently, when the Mystics play against the Chicago team, that game has been drawing so much interest that they're talking about moving it to the Capital One Arena that has more seats, and that the ticket sales are starting to like shoot through the roof. Now, if that's the case, that's great.
Yep.
I can tell you this. I've been to one WNBA game, and it was in 2019. And the reason why I wanted to see Ella Deladon, I think is how you say her name, in person. She was the tallest player on her team at the time, and she was like 6'5". And I was like, man, that is a tall drink of water. And I want to see what she looked like,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
I was sitting maybe like 4 rows back from courtside, and I spent $75, I think, on the ticket,
Right.
right? Which, if that's an NBA game, you're talking
You're financing
four,
your house.
500, like a car payment
Mhm.
to be that close. And I spent like 70 something dollars to,
Yep.
go to a WNBA game and literally be able to smell the shampoo that the women use on their
Right.
hair.
And
That
was it good?
that
Was
was a
it a
great
good game too?
experience.
Was it worth watching?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
There you go.
so okay, it was a good game. And like there's nothing like being in the stadium for an event. Like, I'm not a hockey fan, right?
Mhm.
But I will go to a hockey game because the energy in the arena is fantastic.
Yep.
I love it. They put on a production. The
Mhm.
WNBA game that I went to was the same way. Like, it was a close game. If it was a blowout, it would have been a whole different story. Now, there wasn't no dunking.
Right.
Yeah, but I still enjoyed it. Would I pay 70 something dollars every time? No. I'd probably just go whenever my favorite player was, playing.
Right.
And to your point, if the WNBA wants to see their players, or if the players want to see, they should be convincing their loved ones and people around them and their fans to show up and show more support than I think the average around the league
Right.
was 6,000 seats per game, like tickets per
Mhm.
game.
Yep.
And there was a huge difference between like the top team and the bottom team in the WNBA, where the bottom team averaged around 4,200. And I want to say it was the Indiana Fever. Like, they
Mhm.
were the lowest attended games in the WNBA. And the top team was, I want to say, Vegas, which had like double that,
Mhm.
But
Right.
convince convince your people to show up at more games. Buy jerseys.
Yep. Buy jerseys, buy hats, buy all the fan gear, buy all the stuff, buy the sticker for your back window, or the flag that goes in your pasture window, whatever. All those things, like, get back to them. And I think that, you know, I think there's a start to that.
Hmm.
And I don't know, maybe, and who knows, because Caitlin Clark, she started last year though too, and this is continued on for a minute now. So if she can keep that going, if the WNBA can keep that going, and because there are a lot of talented women playing basketball in the NBA, right? Or the WNBA, there really are. There's a lot of talent there, and if they can come out and they've got the women's Olympic team coming up. I don't know if Caitlin Clark's going to be on that or not, but that actually would be kind of interesting if she wasn't, to see how much traction now that they've got that view on them, right? They've got that kind of magnifying glass, for lack of a better term, on them. If they can go to women's basketball in the Olympics without a Caitlin Clark figure on the bench, if that would still garner all that attention, because I feel like there's all this rambling about her, but it's opened up that broader purpose to everybody, And it started a couple years ago, I think, with women's soccer winning the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
When they won the World Cup a couple times, actually, and so that's kind of opened this. It's not. I feel like some people want it to be like an explosion, and then it's just all the same. And that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And we look at players back in the 60s and 70s that played in the NBA. You know what I mean? They didn't make dick. Those guys back in the day, back playing professional football without helmets, getting their brains scrambled in 4 years, making like $37 a month or some shit. You know what I mean? There was guys who like went to Vietnam because they made more money going to Vietnam than playing football. That's not the way the NFL is anymore. But you know what I mean? Like that's how it starts. You don't just start making fucking 70 billion a year and be like, well, there we go. And so they need that buy-in from their communities, and people need to realize that this is a process. And I know it's so hard nowadays. Everybody wants that instant gratification. That's what everybody wants. Everybody thinks that everything should be fair and everything should be equitable, and it's just not. And I can't change that. It's not my fault, and I'm sorry about it. But I think we got the ball moving. You have the ball moving. Keep that momentum up. Buy those tickets. Buy those jerseys. Go watch your gal play. Whoever it is. And I think once people start going to these events and watching things like, the WNBA more, or the World Cup more, or women's swimming more, or gymnastics, or whatever it is, they're going to get more of a fan base. Like, I don't know shit about gymnastics. I don't know a fucking thing about it. Not a thing. But I think it's cool when they go all flibbity gibbets in the air and they're bouncing all over the place and like flipping up on beams and shit. I think that's cool. I really enjoy watching it. And I know that they probably don't get paid a whole lot of money by like watching it. You know what I mean? I don't know any of the girls' names. I don't know who's good and who's not. I just like think when they're being all flippy, that's cool. And like, and I'm dumb. I'm ignorant about it. I'll admit that. So, but if they can, bring this attention to all of these different sports, not just Caitlin Clark and not just the WNBA, but all of these great things that women do, right? They got that ball rolling. Let's do it. That's all I'm gonna say about it. And I think that when first off, when I mansplain all of this shit to everybody, don't even get me started on that. But when we have these conversations, like we're bringing that light off on it, but it has to be more than a conversation. We have to like follow it up, and that's not just me. I don't have the money to go buy all the WNBA tickets. I don't. Sorry about it. But if we can keep this going, or if they can keep it going. So,
do you think that they finally turn the table with getting more media attention to women's sports, that we will start seeing? Like, I had a cousin of mine that bought a Angel Reese jersey just because he's like, I like Angel Reese, and he's like, I've never even bought an NBA jersey in my life. Do you think that the media is going to give it more push to try to get more butts and seats?
I hope so. I think that there are teams that are going to do that. I think there are teams that are going to do that, and I'm curious because that costs money. It costs money to. Right now, they're getting all that for free. They're getting all its attention for free. But when it starts costing them advertising dollars, are they going to put their money where their mouth is? Are they actually going to get to a point where they're going to be like, "Yep, we're going to have all same as all the other sports. They have to advertise. They have to, do all these things." And I look at Major League Baseball, and like kind of the drop off on Major League Baseball the last couple years, decade or so. Like, when's the last time, except for like either the preseason or like the playoffs, where you see a full stadium? You know what I mean? Very rarely do you see a sold out stadium, unless it's like a, Boston Yankees game or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most fields you can go buy tickets for today for the game tomorrow, and they're relatively inexpensive. And you know what I mean? It's honestly, you could go to like a AAA game and it's more exciting.
Yep. There's a team that's right down the road that I've gone to several of, their games, and the pace is, pretty good, and like it's right down the road. I'm not going to go down to Washington D.C. for what feels like a 5-hour ball game, to then have to turn around and come back to. Yep.
And it's $7 for a soda, and it's $10 for a hot dog that's no good, that's all wrinkly and gross and greasy. Like, no, I don't want to do that. I would rather, I'm from Iowa. We used to watch the Iowa Cubs, and it was a way better show. And we would go watch a Cardinals game or a Cubs game. And even back then, this was 25 years ago, and the fucking Cardinals game would take like 4.5 hours. Like, and like I said, it's not like they're selling out seats, but they're still playing, and Major League Baseball players are getting paid. They're getting paid, so I don't know. But then again, they make a lot of money. And they do make a lot of money. But they
Mhm.
have what, like 155 games a season now or something like that? Like
Yep.
baseball starts in February and ends in October, actually closer to November now. Like, come on. That's speed this up. But
Final question for you here, Radar. Do you think that Caitlin Clark is going to make an impact in the WNBA? I'm going to tell you, I don't think she will. I
you
don't think
mean
she
like
will.
in the culture of the WNBA or like on the court?
Um, Excellent follow-up question. Both. I think culturally, she's not going to be that X factor. And I believe that on the court, she won't win a championship.
I don't think she'll win a I don't think so right now. I don't think so right now, and I think that's to be told whether or not she'll win a championship because obviously she's going to play for a minute. I don't unless she, without an injury problem. I think she's going to play for a couple of years, for a handful of years. Her contract with Nike's for 8 years, so I'm going to assume she at least is going to play the 8 years and get her Nike money because that's like 12 or 20, 28 million. It was 28 million was her Nike contract, so it's going to be hard to say no to that. Like. I'll lose every game. You pay me $28 million. Shit. You know what I mean? Okay, tight. Yeah. So, I mean, is she going to make a great impact to begin with? Probably not. Like I said, it's a different game. How many rookies come up and like, how many rookies come up and like right away just change the impact the game? No, I think if she hangs around, I think the attention that she is garnering right now, if that can bleed off into the rest of the WNBA, I think that will help with the culture of the league. And I think that if she can bring that attention she's currently drawing, and this, you said earlier that it is kind of odd that she is, the WNBA, they had their NCAA tournament, then the draft, now they're starting their season. That's actually probably one of the best things they could do because it's
Mhm.
keeping that momentum going. We're keeping this
The momentum.
conversation going. If they didn't start the season until like August, September, people would forget. We forget about all kinds of shit. Fuck, Israel bombed Iran the other day. We already forgot about it. You know what I mean? Like we as Americans, our attention span is so short. And so to keep that rolling, keep that ball rolling, and keep that media attention on them, I think is going to be the best thing to happen to them. Now, do I think that it's all going to fall on Caitlin Clark's shoulders? No, I think she will. But I think intentionally she needs to become part of that machine. She cannot be like the little centerpiece you put on top. She has to become Caitlin Clark needs to become the WNBA. In order for this whole thing to work, she has to become that and be embraced by the WNBA and all the players. And I think she did a great job. Did you see her on Saturday Night Live?
Yes, I actually have that video.
I think she did a great job of that. What she said, basically, she said, "I didn't kick the door down; these other women did, so I could walk through." And I think that was like one of the best little quotes. And I think if she can keep that type of mentality and spread that mentality through the WNBA and women and the women's fight altogether, you know what I mean? Like we're putting her on a pedestal, and when you put someone on a pedestal, they fall off. But she's kind of purposely pulling herself back down and saying, "Look, I'm one of these. I'm one of them." And I think if she keeps that will go leaps and bounds further than her walking in, nose in the air saying, "Look at me, look who I is." That ain't gonna win.
Radar, don't go anywhere. I want to play that clip because
Okay.
I have a bone to pick about that clip.
All right.
So let's play it real quick.
Yeah, no problem, and good luck in the WNBA. I hope you have a great first season.
Thanks. I'm sure it will be a big first step for me. But it's just one step for the WNBA. Thanks to all the great players like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, the great Dawn Staley, and my basketball hero, Maya Moore. These are the women that kicked down the door so I could walk inside.
My bone out of that was that she named all black players.
Okay.
And when I started to look at WNBA players that I could think about, I'm like, I don't know. I just something didn't sit right with me with the fact that she named all black players. What do you think about that?
I'm not educated enough to say this, but how many? I'm going to ask the question, and maybe you know the answer that I don't. How many white WNBA players really came in as good players? You know what I mean? Like I don't know shit about women's basketball, but I've heard of Cheryl Swoops before. You know what I mean? I don't know I don't know half the names she said, in all fairness. But like how many in the annals of women's basketball, how many of them are, white girls from Iowa, So
Here's an interesting stat, Dan. I'm going to bring this up. Share of players in the WNBA in 2023 by ethnicity, according to Statistica. All right. It is showing here that approximately 60 currently, as of last year, 63% were black or African American and 19% were white. So there was a smaller amount of uh, white players
right.
that are in the WNBA. Yet she didn't and couldn't name, or she chose not to name one. I don't know. That
Well,
seemed
hold
like
on a
more of
second.
like a
Hold
plan.
on a second. How many of them are like the top of the top of the top of the WNBA? You know what I mean? How many of them are going to be, because
Hall
if
of Famers?
you go down the list, of NBA players, right? The only white guy I can think of is Larry Bird.
Same.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you got
you look at
Jason
Jordan,
Nash and a couple of others, but
yeah,
off the top, yeah, Larry
you know
Bird.
what I mean. So that's where I'm coming from. Like, there's white guy. I can turn on an NBA game right now and see a white guy. I don't know who he is. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't know if she did it on purpose. It sure doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, Susan says I don't know. Those black players were likely the ones she admired. So
True.
the ones you look up to, like I don't know. I don't know enough about WNBA to throw that. What are you saying? 19% is white. 19% identify as white. I can't see. It's kind of
Yeah.
small on my
Yeah,
screen.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I don't know. I know where she's from a little bit because I'm from the same area. She went to school in Des Moines. She went to Dowling, which is Dowling is a very affluent, like Catholic school. You know what I mean? It's a very affluent, like it's a private Catholic school that plays in the state of Iowa, and they're kind of known by stacking their teams.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll give scholarships to the top tier football and basketball players their Dowling is always a tough competitive team to play. They were in our conference. I was from Ottumwa, and they were always a tough team. They were a tough match. Whenever you got pulled against Dowling, whether it's in track or cross country or swimming or whatever, you name the sport, they were tough. So, I mean, but it's generally not it's not a very diverse school. If that makes any sense. It's very, very affluent, very upper crust, and generally it's not very diverse there. So I don't know.
Okay.
But
Well, hey
so
man, I was gonna say, dude, thanks for coming up. You're more than welcome to stick around.
well, I just walked in the door from a soccer tournament. My son won the soccer tournament over in Sturgis. So I'm still wearing my proud Papa coach shirt and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna go catch some chow, man. But hey, thanks so much for having me on. And I thought we were gonna have CQ and everybody in here talking shit about Caitlin Clark. I didn't know I was the only one gonna show up and like be put on the spot.
That's all right. I'm glad that you did. Congratulations on your kids' championship, man, and enjoy some grub, brother.
Hey, and if anybody's out there, come on Wednesday. We got John Rich coming on Wednesday, allegedly. So
Hey, there you go. I was about to say plug the show, but you just did. So
yep.
y'all be sure to tune in this upcoming Wednesday so you can see this handsome man and John on the smoke pit. I
All
appreciate
right.
you.
Thanks, King, man. You have a good night, man.
All right, brother. Same to you.
All right.
Das Boot. All right. Let's see. There was a comment up here that I starred. The King and Me over on Facebook said that women have been earning this mere wages for decades, yet no one said anything. All right. But it the point that I think the King and Me is talking about here, and this is what I've heard rumblings on too, is that it seems like more of this talk has been uh um in the news now, that you have this Midwestern person that looks like Caitlin Clark uh uh in the news versus any of your prior number one picks like Aaliyah Boston, who got drafted by the Indiana Fever last year, who turned around and won. She won the 2023 WNBA Rookie of the Year in a unanimous vote, right? So while she was great, Indiana sucked for the second time in a row, to where they again had the number one pick. All right. When I scroll back and I looked at the last couple of number one picks, you'd have to go back to Sabrina Ionescu, who recently competed against Steph Curry in the 3-point contest at this year's All-Star game, and made it actually really close to where it looked like Steph Curry could have lost that game. All right. Sabrina was drafted in 2020 by the New York Liberty. Okay, but people weren't talking about the salary with her. Yet you get this Midwestern girl, Caitlin Clark, and now the spotlight kind of comes on it. All right. I was curious how far back I'd have to go to see when a number one pick also won a championship. And it was the 2019 Las Vegas Aces. They went back to back and won. I'm sorry, they went back to back in 2018 and 2019 to where they had a first round pick, and they were the 2023 WNBA champions here this last past seasons. So they went back to back, having the number one pick, helped build the roster, but it took 4 or 5 years before that game plan, hatched to where they now have probably one of the best WNBA teams still going into this next season. A lot of people are talking about the Chicago Sky with how they drafted at the number 3 and number 7, two really tall, talented players on their roster, and the expectations is for them to have an immediate impact. I don't think anybody can compete with the Las Vegas Aces for the next like 3 or 4 years. And I think that the Indiana Fever, who had back-to-back first round picks in 2023 and 2024, just like how the Las Vegas Aces had in 2018 and 2019, I don't see the Indiana Fever making that push and building a championship caliber team. All right. But maybe it's a good thing, King and Me, that if somebody's face is the one that got people talking. All right. Also followed that up with hence the fact that Brittany Griner had to go out of the country to earn some money. Let's see. David Cunningham on Facebook said, "Hey guys, it's been a long time. First of all, David, good to see you. It has been a while since I've seen your name, at least here on the Sports Bar. So I appreciate you popping in." Said, "We shall see how Caitlin plays in the Olympics." I tried to look for the roster for the Olympics. Did she make it? I don't think they made the announcement. But if they did, let me know where, because I was curious what the women's roster was going to look like. Susan said something, and I'm gonna see if I can pronounce this word. Kinesthetic intelligence. It's called kinesthetic intelligence, which means body smart. All right. David said, "King, Brittany Griner's arrest in Russia brought light on how underpaid women's basketball players and how they were having to take a second job in the foreign basketball league to make ends meet." Look, I said this very publicly on, I think, my personal Facebook page, where we were talking about this, and I said if I had a daughter and my daughter was drafted, let's say in the top 10, and she was making 80 something thousand to play 40 something games plus the playoffs, I'd be proud. I'd be happy about that. I would be okay with that. Right now, it's still up to my daughters. She would still have to budget and live within her means, right? Some people were saying, King, $80,000 if you are playing for the Las Vegas team and make it 80 grand. That's not enough to live on. You're right. Especially if you're that player that's on the roster, but you're not getting the Nike endorsements and paid sponsorships and things like that to help supplement your income. That's a different story. David, I'm going to tell you that I would feel proud if it was my daughter and she was making that much money to play a sport for a couple of years before she then moved on to her next venture post sports. If you're what's considered a generational talent like Caitlin Clark is supposed to be, then I think the opportunities that will find you will come, like her Nike deal that will make her okay. The other people on the roster where an entire WNBA roster can make less than like the 10th person on an NBA team, that's a totally different subject. All right. And I did pronounce it right. Thank you, Susan. Sometimes I can say words correctly. All right. And David said, King, you know, Caitlin will make the Olympics team. People will lose their mind if she doesn't. I think, I don't know if they have tryouts. I know that they used to have tryouts for the NBA Olympics team. And if I heard the news right, this last year, there was like selections essentially. And Kyrie Irving had something to say because he got left off, right? A lot of people were saying, how do you have Halliburton over, Sham God himself, Kyrie Irving? And then there was footage of Kyrie Irving cooking the 2012 Olympics team during practice. I don't know if they have a tryouts for the WNBA. I'm sorry, the women's Olympics team, but Caitlin, just the eye test, right? She passes the eye test on someone deserving of a spot, but we shall see. Britty, is it Britty or is it Bridie? Let me know. BRI, Britty or Bridie? Says I can live under 80K. I like to think I can, but I have expensive tastes. All right. And David said that they take two rookies on the Olympic team. I think it's been that way for a while. So you can't leave a name like Caitlin Clark off. Who's the second rookie that they take? That would be who I'd be curious because this year's draft was really talented. I don't think Caitlin Clark was the best coming out of this year's draft. Camila Cardoso is tall, she can rebound, and she's got a good mid game and definitely strong underneath the basket. If I'm building the team, that's who I would have took. All right. Says oh, okay, yeah, that that's a good pick. That is a good pick. I have one more video that I am going to show, and we're going to close out today's show. I like to thank y'all that have tuned in. Actually, I have two videos. One I think might get the show cut on the stream because of the music, so we're going to gamble with this. I don't know how many of y'all watch the X Games. I don't watch the X Games. I watch the highlights. All right. Somebody sent me this on Instagram, and I thought this was the dopest thing ever. But before I play that, it's Bridie. Thank you. I like to make sure that I say everybody's name properly. But check out this video. This might have been the coolest shit I have ever seen. Oh, I gotta make it bigger. Let's replay that again. All right, this dude comes up. I have never seen nobody do some shit like this. And that might be the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then just the way he even finished it off too. He finished it off like he knew he did some cool shit. How do you sit here and practice a move like this? Like, do you just sit down at the table and go, what could kill me? And be like, you know what? I think I'm going to flip in the air. All right. Detach myself from the bike, grab it, and then do another flip and land. That is insane. Let's watch this one more time. Hey, there's a list of things that King Smith will never do. That is one of them. All right. Now, this last video, I'm just going to say thank y'all for tuning in now. If you hadn't hit that like button, please hit that like button. Bridie, I appreciate the comments. This is my first time seeing your name here at WTF Nation Radio on the Sports Bar. So I give you a salute. All right. David said, I think that they practice in a foam pit. Yeah, because like, how do you practice that kind of thing on the regular to then do it and execute it properly? All right. Susan said you have never watched skateboarders in their natural habitat, and it shows. You would be incorrect. I have gone to some skate parks from time to time, but I've never seen people at skate parks pull off like death defying tricks. I've seen, like the kids at the skate parks or the college students that are, thinking that they could be in the X Games, but they're not doing anything like that. All right. They are not doing anything like that. Says, love you, I'll be back. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. All right. But I'm gonna say thank y'all to everybody now. Cause if I play this last video and it cut off the live stream, it's because of the music in the background. But there's a sport that's out there that's like the NBA and football combined. I'm gonna see if I can play this and not get DOS booted. Take a look and tell me if y'all will watch. It didn't boot us off. Yes. Somebody sent me that video and I said, yo, I would pay money to watch this over the WNBA. Just saying. All right, y'all. That's my show, The Sports Bar. I'm the actual King Smith. Coach, who is normally my co-host, was having internet problems. It is what it is sometimes. If there was a like button on your platform, mash that like button. David Cunningham said that they all must be related to Draymond Green. Draymond would do fantastic in that sports league. I think that type of basketball was tailor-made for Draymond Green. If you are somebody that watches or listens to WTF Nation Radio, tune in tomorrow for the Monday edition with our boss man, Mr. Ice himself, as he comes on live at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time Zone. Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your Sunday night. I am going to go and watch some NBA playoffs. The Pelicans are playing against, I forget. But I'm going to go watch the game. Y'all have a good one. Peace.